Little Caesars changed the game, bro.
They did.
Little Caesars changed. That's the most shot of shit.
Hey, Chewy, blood. They want you on the podcast, bro. Look, he Mexican, bro. You gotta put him on.
Am I interrupting your depression? I'm sorry.
This week's episode of The Voice Party is brought to you by Big Boy Raps. Get your car wrapped by some of the most experienced and skilled in the Bay. Big Boy Raps, where the big boys play.
Welcome back to The Voice Party, everybody. We got Phil behind the board. We got JD. My name is Marcos. We got Joaquin and Corday. And today we have a very special guest. She's actually my roster sister. And for you guys who don't know what that means, that is, we are signed to the same management.
Oh.
Yeah, so this is a very special guest. We got the Polynesian princess herself.
Hi.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Elani. I am known as the Polynesian princess of the Bay Area. I am a singer, songwriter, producer, writer. I like to act. There's really nothing I can't do. But overall, I like to call myself an artist just because all of those things categorize as an artist. So I am an artist.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. I heard that.
Yeah.
From the Bay Area.
From the Bay Area.
Born and raised.
Okay, so I was born in the Central Valley, but I moved to Fremont when I was in like 4th grade.
Oh, wow.
And then I stayed in Fremont, and then after Fremont, moved to San Francisco for college. I went to SFSU, go Gators. And then
My mom's a Gator.
yeah, and then now I live in Oakland. So I don't really say I'm from one particular place in the Bay because I'm from
You moved
everywhere.
around a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
What kind
I
of?
stayed in Richmond the whole time.
Yeah. Fact. What kind of? Just so the listeners know, what kind of music are you?
I want to do pop music, but I also like all kinds of genres, R&B. I'm trying to do some reggae stuff too, but I mainly want to be a pop singer, like Beyonce, Britney Spears, like those kind of, pop artists.
Doja Cat.
Yeah, Doja Cat, definitely. I look up to her a lot.
I can see it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you about that. Like, there is not a whole lot of representation for Polynesian.
Absolutely not.
Other than
Not in
the
the
rock.
pop, not in the pop world specifically.
And music in general, because
Yeah.
That too.
The Rock is the one that
The
comes
Rock,
with-
yeah, and it's crazy because like I want to look up to The Rock so badly, especially because he's not just Samoan, but he's also black, which I am also black. I'm half Samoan, half black, and I want to look up to him so badly, but it's like he's a man. No offense, but it's like I don't really feel like I can relate to him because he's just this action star, this wrestler, and sure he can act too, but it's like, where are the women, especially because in our culture women are like, they're like key, like we're the ones that take care of everybody. We have the most responsibility, especially if you're the oldest. So that's one of the reasons why I like created my Polynesian princess persona, because I want other girls that are my size, my shape, my skin color, I want them to feel, empowered when they see me. And that's something that I kind of missed out on, and I want to give that to them.
Representation.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting because like now, like a year ago, I had this like huge plan. Like I'm gonna, be the Polynesian princess. I'm gonna be the Beyonce of Samoan culture and like pop off and do all these great songs. But then as like Gardy, my publicist manager that both me and Marco share.
She's also a publicist as well.
Yeah, she's everything. She's like all of
She's
the
everything.
jack of all trades. I love her. But, as we're starting to, book these shows, particularly in the community, like Polynesian festivals and, things like that, they don't like want me. And it's not necessarily that they don't want me or my image, because I do look like what the other artists are, but I don't sing the same music that they want. And for a while I kind of like regret like the whole reggae, pop like culture thing that's behind our culture, like reggae music, Bob Marley, all this stuff. I like wanted to, step away from that, but this past like month, I was at the Pacific Islands Day, where we performed, and I got to stay at that reggae festival. And I sat there and I realized why they're so in touch with this particular music. So it's not necessarily that I hate, the genre or the reggae style. It's just that mold that's really, really hard to break out of. It's just the mold of like the perfect Polynesian person, and I don't know. I feel like...
Well, it's also a box now, too.
Yeah. I feel like it's...
You say reggae music with the Polynesian? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Kind of like Mexicans with banda music? Like,
exactly. And it's interesting because one of my favorite artists of all time, Selena, Quintanilla. I love her because she didn't really speak Spanish until she started singing it. And that's kind of what I want to follow, especially because, she learned her culture as she went along.
Right.
And honestly, that's the best way to go, especially when you are surrounded by all this, culture and all these people that expect you to live up to that. So it's like, it's a rock and a hard place because you want to be part of it, but also you want to break out of it.
Right.
And it's really hard.
You don't want to be boxed in.
And even with Selena, like before she passed away, rest in peace, she was getting ready to sing English songs. And she was already like 10, 20 years into her career. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, damn, like it's hard for, women of color to kind of be part of their culture, but also break out of it.
Because you kind of get boxed in if you're not.
It's such a contradiction too, especially when you're a young independent artist and you are trying to play like these local shows and stuff.
Right.
And everyone wants you to, like the Pacific Islanders Day. Yeah. Latin, Cinco de Mayos or any festivals like that. And they're like, oh, you're Mexican. You should play that. But we don't play Spanish music.
Right.
So bam, instantly, you're not really the image for that.
He's not really Mexican.
But then also you don't, for both of us, we kind of don't fit anywhere here, and so you have to, what we basically end up doing is like what we did at Pacific Islanders Days. You just do what you do and we kill it.
Right.
And then, you end up just, you make fans.
It's kind of like you kind of have to like force them to pay attention. Yeah. And then what's going to be the most craziest part about all of it is that when we do finally break out and we make it, and say for instance I win a Grammy, the next day every single Polynesian outlet is going to be like, that's our girl. We've been rooting for her.
I saw her
this
at that
whole
festival.
time. And it's like, no y'all weren't. And now that I'm like this big Samoan, artist that loves my culture, now y'all want to pay attention. So it's like, I'm actually excited for that, honestly. My favorite thing to do ever is to prove people wrong. I've proved my parents wrong. I've proved my family, my friends, enemies. I've proved them wrong, like so much. So that's my favorite thing to do. So I'm excited for that time, So
Yeah, no, 100%. That's got to keep you going forward.
Absolutely.
Because if not, then you're going to be stuck in that box.
Yeah.
I noticed, like, in the comedy world, Al Madrigal, that reminds me of that, where he would get booked. This comedian, half Mexican, half Italian, from San Francisco. He talks about how you get booked for these Mexican shows. He would do his, like, his jokes that were just about himself, and then people were like, haha, whatever. But then he was like, and then he would do the I guess the stereotypical, hey, fucking Mexican bro, and then they're like, So, but he says he didn't, kind of says like you get it sucks to be boxed in.
It does.
Stuff just because of how you look.
Right.
Yeah, I remember first starting off in comedy. They was like, hey man, you need to do more black shows, and I was just like, bruh, you don't think I be trying to get booked on them and stuff?
Yeah.
Like it was like, I could tell you can perform in front of a lot of white people. I was like, that's who got shows, dude. I was like, we got one venue, Tommy T's. I'm trying to get there, but I get offered Sack Punchline, SF Punchline, Cops. I'm like, I'm still trying to, But then once you say like we blow it big, they be like, yeah, that's a dude from Richmond. Yo, he put on for us. I'm like, okay, really?
Right.
I saw him at the Polynesian festival.
Exactly. I would definitely go. I'm not gonna lie.
The one thing I'll say about Richmond though, they've been good to us. Because we played we've done everything, every event and stuff, but it is hard, to just break out, and especially too because the kind of music that people are listening to versus what independent artists are putting out is two different things.
Yeah.
When you can when you get lucky enough to like
just like that meme you put the music I make and the diagram, the music.
Yeah, and then the music I make is like in between all those diagrams. Yeah.
I mean, such is the story of independent music in general over the
No, 100%.
Right? Yeah.
The one thing I'll say though, sorry, back to what you're saying also. When you do have that, you, like you said, you do have to work harder to get their attention. But that also, once you actually do have their attention, it makes the show a lot easier, I would think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you can attest to this. It doesn't matter if there's 3 people or 20 people or 50 people or 10,000 people. You always play like you're playing Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't ever play like soundcheck is whatever, but you don't play like you're like, oh, it's a bad day, blah blah. You can have a terrible day off stage. The second that sound engineer says go, you play like no, seriously, you play because I mean, what happened? I mean, when we play the community stages at these festivals, people they're considered walk-by stages, right?
Right.
You're not. No one's coming to see us, so we gotta make people stop.
You guys pay for your tickets?
Can you guys please get your ticket stamped? Like a train. But yeah, and so what happens is we get on stage, and there might be the regular people eating lunch, 10 or 20 people. No, seriously. Yeah, it's like a table.
People.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. And then we're playing, performing, and next thing you know, there's like 100 people there. And they're just watching. And you're like, yeah, we got your attention.
Honestly, can I just say, like, you have some of the best stage presence I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Especially for like an up and coming. Like, honestly though, because when we performed on the same day, like that was the first time I've ever seen you guys live. And me and my sisters were like screaming as if you guys were like One Direction, because
there we go.
Like you
guys were the only ones I saw.
Yeah, it's just like it's just like being able to just get up there and act like you're already Adam Levine. Like that's crazy. And that's one of the reasons why I look up to certain artists, because no matter what, they're always gonna act like it's the Grammy stage, even if it's just like a parking lot, and I performed in a bunch of parking lots before, So, and
you ever performed under a staircase?
Yeah. A staircase?
Yeah.
Okay.
That one was rough.
Was this an apartment building, dude, with a staircase?
Yeah, that one was rough.
Okay.
We were just
very intimate, huh? That's how you say it. It was like, how was it? It was a very intimate crowd.
What kind of staircase?
It was. Do you know the Richmond
Harry Potter room?
Like
no.
I'm like
I can tell you exactly. You guys know the Civic Center in Richmond?
Yeah.
The event center?
Yeah.
All right. When you walk in and like through the doors to get into the arena, and the stairs going up to the second balcony, we played under those stairs.
Wow.
It was the stupidest thing we've ever done.
That was set up by someone in the
That was set up by
organization.
And it was like all at the time. I'm assuming it was 5 of you, right?
No, there was. This was like the after-school program band that was like a mixture of people.
I'll do you one better.
Okay.
And me and Corday have done this. Have you ever performed on the sidewalk?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
With moving traffic?
Oh yeah.
Dude, we performed at a drive-through food giveaway, food bank.
Wow.
That one was kind of unnecessary to have us because no one was out of their cars.
You ever performed in front of a Taco Bell?
Hey, that's my dream. That's my dream. Did you get like free stuff?
No, it's across the street.
It's not across the street. It's like, so here's Taco Bell, then there's a brewery right here. Yeah. But then the best part was I did order while on stage and then walked through the drive-thru and got my food. I was like, I've made it, y'all. I've made it. And then the dude was like, hey, are you funny as shit, dude? Like, he was like taking orders and like I was like, that's dope as hell. Yeah, right behind it. It was dope as hell too. So I'll show you a picture of this.
Honestly, like I love Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Oh, I do too.
Like that. Everyone could be like, what are we eating? I said Taco Bell.
There's an inside joke to what you just said, to what our last guest said that they served on a big film production.
Yeah.
Taco Bell?
Yeah.
At a film production?
Big one.
Honestly, I'd be down for that too.
Okay, but what
depends.
Yeah, so when you go to Taco Bell,
Oh, no.
what do you get
big
at the
film?
Taco Bell?
Oh, that's kind of whack.
Are you a dollar menu person, or are you kind of like, I want the other stuff? What do you get from Taco Bell?
There's no such thing as a dollar
So
menu.
I get a crunchy taco, a cheese quesadilla, and a bean and cheese burrito with sour cream.
Oh.
That's always those 3.
Okay.
Or a nacho Bel Grande.
Okay. I get those.
I get the cheesy gordita crunch.
Ooh. Yeah.
Crunchy taco and the soft taco for some reason. I don't know why. I like to have both, the soft and the crunchy. I don't know.
Do you get have you ever tried the one with the soft outside of the crunchy?
That's the cheesy gordita crunch.
Oh.
That's one of my favorite things, like, ever.
Crunchwrap Supremes are the best.
Not just food, in life in general.
No, yeah, Taco Bell is the shit.
It's
like
shit.
literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
So good.
I mean, it'll give you the shit.
No, exactly. Literally both ways.
If you need to cleanse your body,
Yeah.
that'll do it.
Sponsored by by laxatives.
How long have you been performing for?
Okay, so it's very complicated because my first performance as a solo artist was probably, I think, last May 2021.
I was gonna say you're fairly new.
Yeah, I'm very, very new. But then throughout college, I was in theater, like musical theater, like.
Oh, so
So you've had a ton of performances.
Yeah. Jazz
have
Square,
stage fright?
like no.
Okay.
I do have anxiety, but stage fright, like it's one of those things where I black out when I'm on stage.
That's
Like,
why I said I could only see you guys.
Yeah,
I don't
like-
remember anyone else.
Like, and I even like remember the energy and I remember the people in the audience that I see, but in the moment I'm kind of just singing the songs and I like zone out. And like any performance, like whether it's me as a solo artist or me as a, musical theater person, like I just kind of zone out. And it's actually interesting because prior to COVID, like I was probably gonna be on Broadway. Like all my friends like are probably gonna laugh at me for this, but like COVID messed me up and I could have I was gonna go to the Kennedy Center. I was getting awards. Like I led a musical. Like it was a brand new musical and I would have took it far. But COVID happened, all the theaters closed and I was like, what the fuck do I do? Like my main source of everything that I wanted to do is like gone. And then at the time, like we didn't know if any theaters were gonna open up. I didn't even think like we would come back to theater because of everything being so digital and like streaming services and stuff.
A lot of theaters shut down too, right?
Yeah, a lot of theaters shut down. And honestly, theaters are still, still struggling from COVID. And it's like 2 years later, and but when, the pandemic happened and I was at home, I was like, what do I do? So I just like went on GarageBand and I was like, let me just make a couple beats. Let me sing some songs. And I just kept moving forward with it. And I think what I loved about it is it was mine. Like it was something that I created, something that I created from my brain, from my body, like everything I put into it, it was mine. And nobody can tell me like about it. Nobody can tell me how wrong it is or whatever. I mean, I could accept the feedback and I could take the feedback and, put it into consideration. But at the end of the day, it's my control.
Right.
I control everything in that song, and I started to love it like a lot to the point where I guess I'm going to be a pop singer now, but also that wasn't surprising because I've looked up to Beyonce my entire life. Beyonce is probably everything I've ever aspired to be. And it's crazy because idolizing people isn't really the way to go because you should learn how to be yourself. And that's something that I was able to do. But at the same time, watching that kind of work ethic is like, damn. Like if someone like that, someone who is a human being who has pretty much the same body parts, the same skin tone as me can do that, then I can too. Especially with the way that she has creative control over almost everything she does. She doesn't have to, say anything to anybody. She can just drop a song whenever she wants, and that changes she changes culture. That's crazy. Like, honestly, any artist, Michael Jackson, Bruno Mars, whoever, like they change the culture.
Trendsetters.
No, literally. And it's like, we don't have to idolize them, but we can learn from them. We absolutely can learn from them.
I think when it comes to, I think when it comes to artists idolizing other artists, I think you'll know when it goes too far is like kind of when you become a straight tribute band, then you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like idolizing, I feel like in the sense of like how, Adam Levine is one of my idols as a singer, Joe Jonas, all these other guys. You end up taking, because you're trying so hard to be like them in the beginning, right?
Right.
You never do anything just like them.
Exactly.
So what you end up finding is that trying to be like them, you end up creating something completely different.
Exactly.
Because your interpretation in your head was this. Everyone else around the world was like, that doesn't sound like that at all. But that sounds cool. I like what you're doing. You know, you're good at that. Okay, now I'm doing this.
As long as you find your own voice.
As long as you find your own voice.
When I was doing comedy like 5 years ago, I realized I sounded hella like Felipe Esparza. Or George Lopez. I was like, oh shit, you got to find your own voice.
100%.
When I first started, I sounded like my homie still, hey, you like your set? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you listen to a lot of Kevin Hart? I'm like, dude, I love Kevin Hart. He's like, you sound just like him, even like your mannerisms. So that's what they tell you, like, don't watch too many. Like, so I'm in the 10-year mark, and they always say, like, at that point, you find your own original voice. But I remember I had listened back to a few sets, and I was like, fuck, I do sound like Kevin Hart. Like,
and it's, I heard, I don't know if you've seen this documentary, but Jerry Seinfeld tells another comic, he gives him advice, and I don't know if you know this, but this can apply not just to comedy but for music, like however long you've been doing, like, you know, whatever it is, you that's, think of that as your age.
Exactly. So
in comedy, I'm 8-year-old, you're a 10-year-old. So
I'm 10.
I was just still learning to talk.
Right 100%.
That's kind of how a good way to look at it, because it is, even though you're whatever age, when you go on stage, all that shit goes away.
No, literally, it does.
So how did you and Gardenia get together, the management team? How did you guys meet, and then what was the process? Because what's crazy is I remember when I first met you guys at Poptopia. Poptopia, yeah. And if you guys don't know what that is, so Poptopia,
first concert you went to in the pandemic.
Yes. So Poptopia is like a music festival kind of thing, but it's a lot smaller. It's in an arena. I mean, it's a lot like smaller lineup. It's maybe like 8 artists or 9 artists, whatever. But
and it's ran by 99.7, so the radio station.
The radio stations. So but it's also on the same leg tours like the iHeartRadio tour and stuff. So it's all the same artists tour around the country and do this for all the radio stations.
And it's actually funny you brought up Doja Cat and like how much I love her. So Marcos met me the first time, and you know, we're chilling at this concert, right? And there's the lineup, and we're like at the Black Eyed Peas. Who else was there?
Black Eyed Peas, Kid Leroy. Doja, Sweetie. And you know, I didn't know any Sweetie songs.
Yeah, we're just chilling. And Gardy, my publicist, we're gonna get back to how we, you know, our backstory. But Gardy, she's like, this is Marcos. Like, I met him, blah blah blah. And we're all chilling at the concert, like having a blast. Doja Cat comes on, so. I blacked out, and I remember, but I screamed, I cursed.
Blew your vocal cords.
I was probably so far away, like I wasn't even that close to her, but I'm screaming at her as if she's my best friend, and I'm like, get it, bitch, go off, and I lost it. And then she gets off a stage, and I'm like, okay, that's it. And Marcos is like, and Guardians is like,
who are you?
Like, where did that come from? And I'm like, that's just what happens when I see an artist. Like, I can't control it. Like, you're lucky it wasn't Beyonce. Like, you're lucky it wasn't Chris Martin from Coldplay.
In a stretcher, like those girls.
Exactly.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't know how in the world you heard anything. The arena, I felt so bad for all the other artists. Everyone got their good screams and stuff, and it was cool. Black Eyed Peas, everyone was like 12 there, and they were like, who the fuck are the Black Eyed Peas? And it was just all like everyone over like 23.
And there was no Fergie. Like, there was no Fergie.
Well, that didn't matter. No one would know the Black Eyed Peas anyway. but so yeah, we did. But okay, so this is what happens, right? Doja comes out. She's like third to last on the lineup.
Right.
And second to last on the lineup. Everyone's going crazy. You cannot hear her set at all. They're screaming so loud. It's insane, right? Our ears are ringing. Okay. Felt so bad. So she gets off stage. Half the arena leaves. Kid Leroy comes on. He's the only one with pyrotechnics and smoke and everything, and everybody was like, everyone was gone.
Like, we could have easily just like snuck our way to the top to see Kid Leroy. Like, honestly,
at that point.
But
we were actually pretty close. You said that you're far. We were close.
We were
like 8th row to the floor.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
It was a good view.
in retrospect, I always sit in the nosebleeds at concerts.
Same, yeah.
I'm at an age where I'd rather sit down for a concert.
I'm willing to pay more for seats than lawns now.
Yeah.
Because I can't do lawns anymore.
I actually got those tickets for free. Gardy, because Patrick was taking the
because he was
pictures.
the photographer.
Yeah, he was the photographer there, and she was like, "You want to go to Poptopia? Doja Cat's going there." And I was like,
It was a shorter set though, right?
"Yeah, it was a shorter
they're
set,
all-
but she did the hits and the ones
She
that
had at least a 30-minute set.
Yeah, she did. But
It
yeah,
was a
and
good half concert.
it's interesting too because when I first introduced myself to Gardy, she actually, I think, had ties to Doja Cat before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Wow.
She has. So our manager has ties to like Empire and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of stuff. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, so it was interesting because when we first met, she told me the stories of how she met Doja Cat, like way before she, everything popped off for her, and she met Doja Cat and like partied with her for a little bit. And I think that was like one of the things I told her. I was like, I want to be like Doja Cat. Like, I want to like have that similar career, because she also started with GarageBand loops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that. And honestly, like for someone who doesn't know how to play real instruments, that is an inspiration. Like I look to that, because if you can make up a song out of anything, like you're genius. Like you're good for life.
Bitch, I'm a cow. Bitch, I'm a cow.
So it was a weird like manifestation, full circle moment where Doja Cat was kind of like the reason why I wanted to work with Gardy. Like that's like she's the reason, and hearing that story, and then by the end of the year we were seeing her concert. So it's like it was a weird like full circle moment. But going back to how we met, so I used to work at Forever 21 around 2018, and I met this girl. Her name is Jasmine, and she was one of my coworkers, and she was really cool, but she was also a party girl, so she was always going out, and I followed her on Instagram. And like I had followed her for like 2 years prior. This is like 2020 at this point, and she reposts that a publicist is moving back to the Bay Area from the Central Valley because she just had her baby and she wants to get back into the city, go back to all her ties, and try to make it happen again. And so I saw that, and I had been looking for someone to help drive me in the right direction. I was already an album in, a self-released album in. So actually, I think like 4 EPs and 2 albums in of just me doing it by myself. But I wasn't getting the views and the audience that I wanted, so I knew I had to take the next step. So when I saw Jasmine make that post, I was like, let me take a chance and reach out to this person, because I don't care who it is, I'll just reach out to you and DM you. Like I've DM'd like Beyonce a few times. Like one of these days someone's gonna see it, you know? Yeah. And whether or not she's this big publicist or the small publicist, let me just reach out and see what happens. Sent her a long DM with a paragraph of my music, pictures of me. I said, I'm this Samoan artist, this, that. And she said, okay, let's jump on Zoom. We jumped on Zoom and we just started talking, and I was very nervous because, I thought she would be just this professional, and I'm not saying she's not professional, but, I'm expecting this like strict person that's like, by the book, we're going to have a contract, Her baby starts crying. And she's like, hold on 1 second. She starts like taking care of her baby. She's like, my baby is like brand new. He's like 6 months old or something like that, and I'm a single mother now, and I'm trying to and for some reason, just seeing her with her baby and seeing how motherly she was, I knew that's going to be a person who can protect me. That's going to be a person who will be able to vouch for me.
Nurturing.
Yeah, very nurturing, very. Especially because she's also a Latina. And, Latinas are very, very, very just hard on their culture. Like, they love their culture, And she was really into it. She loved Day of the Dead, So even though we didn't have the same culture, we loved culture in general, And so I just knew in that Zoom call that she was going to be someone that could protect me, and she was going to be someone that could help take me far and understand me. you know? And, you know, a few more Zoom calls happen, and I'm filming my own music video. The music video that I filmed had nothing to do with Gardenia. It was to Big, and we dressed up as Bridgerton characters, and like my friend designed these beautiful dresses. We like danced around the Palace of Fine Arts just with the camera. And we filmed it, and you know, she was still fresh to me, but she showed up at the shoot, and she saw it, and that's when we first met. You know, right after that shoot, I got sick. Like, it was a weekend, like April 17th and 18th, it was a weekend. That Monday, I woke up sick as hell. Like, I thought I had the flu. Like, for a second, I thought it was COVID. And so I kind of let it ride out because, you know, with my sicknesses, I'm just like, I'm gonna deal with it, whatever, let's just get over it, you know? But it wasn't budging. Like, I was so sick that I sent myself to the hospital twice. I went to the hospital and I was like, what's going on with my body? Like, I literally can't breathe. Like, my stomach hurts. I feel like I'm throwing up everything. Like, what kind of flu is this? Like, this doesn't even feel like COVID, you know? They were like, oh, I don't know, like, Went to a San Francisco hospital. They sent me home when I started to feel better, and then I went back because I was like, no, I'm not better. But this time I went to Fremont Hospital, like, to my mom. Like, I called my mom, and I was like, Mommy, like, please. And so I spent two weeks in the hospital, or 2 weeks. I spent a week in the hospital, and then another week just at home, recovering. The day I got out of the hospital, I get a call from Gardenia, and she goes, how do you feel like performing at the end of the month? I'm literally on my deathbed. And she doesn't even know that I'm sick as hell. And it turns out I had E. coli poisoning. Yeah.
Shit. Deadly.
Yeah, like my kidneys were failing. Like I could have died. Yeah. It was like to the point where my sister was like, do I have to give her my kidney? Like it wasn't that bad, but it was like, whoa, like if I didn't catch it right now,
there,
like it could have got worse.
You're like, the show must go on.
Yeah. And so I'm like recovering from this like poisoning, and Gardy's like, do you think you can do it? And I said, yeah. Of course. Oh, yeah, I can do it. She got on the phone with me, and I'm like, yeah, I can do it. I'm just chilling at home with my mom. Acted like nothing happened.
Meanwhile, beep.
Yeah.
Fighting dehydration.
Yeah, and then 2 days later, 2 days later, she calls me again, and she's like, okay, now I have the fare for you. So that's 2 shows already. Wow. And I'm like, how did you do this so quickly? How? And she's like, well, I talked to my friend who runs this company, this charity business, and they need performers. But then also they have ties to the fair, and that's how I was able to get you into the fair. So in a matter of like, not even like 3 to 4 weeks, Gardy was already booking me shows. Given I was doing free shows, but that's exposure, and that's just a whole new set of just me being able to finally perform the songs I worked the whole pandemic making. Right. So it's like our story is pretty, you know, I love that. I love that lady. Yeah. Like she's amazing, and it like it's to the point where like I don't even see her as a manager or a publicist. She just kind of is that big sister that like if I need advice on something, I go straight to her. And even when we have like these business calls, like she's able to, you know, give me the space to say, hey, I don't need you as a manager right now. I just need you as my friend. And she'll turn it off, you know? And I also had to pay her. So I had to pay her, and, she has to work. She has a baby. But then when I couldn't afford her, I said, how do you feel about me babysitting Gary? And she took off like 2 hours of work just because I offered to watch her baby. Wow. So it was like we had this arrangement where it was like we truly believed in each other. And it got to the point where not only was she telling me about my gigs, but she was excited to share with me the gigs that had nothing to do with me. And I was excited to hear that, because she also was like, I'm getting these gigs right now, but this is gonna help us, sis. Like, sister, we're gonna do this, we're gonna have this going. And honestly, she's one of the just most motivated, nurturing people like you could ever meet, and Marcos knows this. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
We Gardy was our publicist, our first publicist with the last management company that we were with, and unfortunately, after like 2 hours of work, our manager at the time fired her for he used to fire everybody.
Right.
And you know the story.
Right.
But so we, as soon as
I've heard.
Yeah.
So we got back. So as soon as we got, dropped, we were like, Gardy.
Right.
So it's like
it's her own thing now. Yeah. Because I remember I was talking to both of you at Poptopia, and I was like, our contract's almost up. Like, and she's like, call me. I'm ready. I'm working with Taya, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, we're going to call you.
Yeah. And ever since like me, and I'm not going to say that I was the Kickstarter to, her team, but I was first, and then here comes Tomorrow's June, and then here comes a DJ that runs like arena and stuff, and then here comes more people, and like she's building a roster, and it actually got to a point where I actually felt like a little bit of an identity crisis, just because I saw her getting all these new clients, and I like broke down to her like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, I don't know if I can give you what Tomorrow's June can give you. I don't know if I can give you what all these other clients are giving you, because I don't have the resources right now. How do I know that what you're doing for me and all this faith you're putting into me is going to be worth it for you? And it was so hard for me to have to like break that down to her, and she's like, no sis, this is us forever, like us forever, no matter what you think, no matter how many clients I get, like those clients are going to help both of us build up. And she's just very reassuring.
That's a very artist moment you had.
It is.
Oh yeah, I have those all the time.
It's called imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome.
You could be winning an Academy Award and like, will I ever work again?
No, literally, imposter syndrome
is a real thing.
I did not know that there was an actual name for it until like I read it on some like Instagram
It's coming up on TikTok all over
all the time.
All of a sudden.
But I read it and I was like, oh my god, because that's like
with comedians too and everything.
It plays all the millennial artists.
Any artist.
Any artist of any.
You have 3 Grammys and you're like, do I deserve to be in the room with Beyonce? Because
I've heard this story I mentioned before. Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
One of the guys that opened for him, the band that opened for him, was sitting backstage watching him, and he was like pacing, nervous. And then he asked him, "What's wrong, Ozzy?" And then the guy was like, "Is there anyone out there?" He's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you're Ozzy Osbourne. Like, there's thousands of people out there." He's like, "I get really depressed, man."
Yeah.
So it was like crazy to think that Ozzy
100%
has that.
Yeah.
People are gonna find out that I'm faking.
No, yeah.
And it's but you know what? The fake it till you make it thing is real too.
It is.
Live
and
like you're.
I
always tell my brother this, and this is something I'd recommend to all artists.
You have a brother?
I do have a brother.
Nando.
But
love him.
Well, you're one. I'm joking.
Also,
I'm sorry, Nando.
Real quick, why does he sound so much like Nick Jonas? Because when y'all performed Love Bug, I was like, this dude sounds exactly like Nick Jonas, and there's a reason why you gave him that part. But I was like, wow. Okay.
No, I only gave him that part. Well, because I'm the singer.
Marcus like, you don't think I sound like Nick Jonas?
I sound like Nick Jonas too. No. Well, because it was the first song that we had ever performed.
I know. I love it.
So I was like, okay, as a tribute to that, I'll let you sing some lead, but
you guys
like
do it
never again. No, I'm joking. No, but that's just I'm the lead singer.
That's enough.
I unplugged. No. But fuck, I was saying something.
I know. I'm sorry. I interrupted
Dang
you.
It. No. Artist. Fake it till you make it thing, right?
Yeah.
I told my brother this. There is a real thing about when they talk about presentation and stuff. When you get on stage and when you're off stage, you need to be larger than life, right? And it's not saying be a diva, be an ass, whatever, but it's like there's a reason, like when you walk around the street, when I walk around, and like my nickname to everything is the rock stars here, the rock stars here, because I am the rock star in my head.
Literally.
Doesn't mean I'm an asshole to you, but I present myself as that rock star. I was trying to live the rock star lifestyle.
You gotta give the people a show.
Yeah. But just in life. It
also gets you into the mood, because once you like picture yourself as the rock star, or you picture yourself as the Beyonce or whatever, picture yourself as whatever comedian Kevin Kevin Hart. It just kind of like it helps you build that energy that you need, especially when it's hard to build that energy, especially if you have like that kind of stage fright or even anxiety. You kind of have to just like I'm gonna play a character for a little bit, and I actually explain it like I'm Hannah Montana. Like you guys know Hannah Montana, like Miley Cyrus, whatever. It's like
it's a Migos song, right?
Yeah. Hannah Montana. But it's interesting because like when you step out and you're on stage, you're Hannah Montana. But then when you go back to I'm a preschool teacher. Like,
oh no way.
Like when I get off stage, so it's like I'm living my Miley life all the time, and then I get a chance to be this big pop sensation. Why not go all out? You know, why not wear this awesome outfit? Like I actually like independent artists, like I know it's based on resources and like finding an outfit, but if I see an artist in like jeans and a t-shirt, I'm like, yeah, that's your persona, but it's like, why not wear feathers? Like why not, you know,
go all out,
go to Michael's, get some glue, just glue it on. Like you don't know how many outfits I've like, my glue gun is my favorite. That's the only gun that I will keep in my house because I need that to, you know, just
there is something to, like you said, like I remember one of my first shows ever. I was super nervous,
right?
And Rudy, I told him, yeah, man, Rudy, I'm hella nervous. And he's like, he got mad at me. He's like, these people showered and paid tickets. You shut the fuck up. And that kind of how I think of it now. Like if someone comes out, if it's one person, or you gotta turn it on.
And then like you talked about wearing like bright colors stuff like that. It's kind of like peacocking. Like I always like to wear like bright bright colors on stage and stuff like that. I was like, oh, what's up? Like the other guests was talking about you purple ass shirt. I was like, yeah, I'll stick out with this purple ass shirt though.
And it's definitely a case of like the persona fits the music, right? Like I totally would expect Beyonce to come out with something big and bold and colorful, but like, you know, I'm not expecting Mobb Deep to come out wearing like a matter of fact, if they're not in their black hoodies and their bandana, I'm walking. Like, what's my money back? Like, what's this? These ain't no halfway crooks. What's going on?
After Mobb Deep gets off stage, they put on their Crocs.
But that's also the branding, though.
Because that's your brand.
It's not even just him like waking up and putting on a hoodie. Like he's made that his persona, so now you're gonna expect him to wear the hoodie all the time.
Right.
You know, you're gonna expect like, who is another artist? I don't want to be.
MF Doom always wore the mask.
Literally.
Not only that, it's just whatever song you wrote when you were younger, and you want to change your music style eventually, you're still gonna have to sing that old song. For those fans that come
Chris Rock and his special Tambourine on Netflix, I was so distracted because I'm only used to seeing him in suits and a leather jacket, and he had his
regular clothes.
He had regular clothes, and his hair was growing out. I'm like, you should have like a tight like haircut or something, and it's right trimmed. So I'm like watching him, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? And it took me like 20 minutes to adjust to this new look that he had on stage. I had to stop it, and I was like, I'm gonna watch this again in the morning, and then I could take in the comedy. But I was still kind of like, this brown shirt's kind of faded. Like, what you doing, dude?
Right.
And then he was like, oh, I'm divorced. I was like, oh, is he trying to get at bitches? That's why he dressed like this. I had like all this stuff instead of the actual like jokes going on in my head like simultaneously.
Because he went off brand.
Very distracting.
But that sometimes is good to go off brand from what you're, you know. It
depends.
I mean,
give them a surprise.
When you're young, trying to make it, you need to stay on. You need to stay on brand, and you need to go out. Most people forget that it's confidence. So when you wear the outfits that we wear sometimes, or the crazy different stuff, you have to be confident.
What's the one artist who like always used to wear like Lady Gaga? Used to always stand out when you were uniquely dressed.
Katy Perry, same thing.
Like that was, and I remember specifically everybody used to, what is Gaga gonna wear at this award show? That was literally like the anticipation, and then like one time she kind of like dulled it down. It was
she didn't want it.
Yeah, she was like, she let us down.
She's a good singer,
and now she's a good singer and actress.
She's like, I like jeans.
The focus has gone back to her singing.
The focus has gone away from that. Yeah, that's what she said in the interview. Like Because after a while, I was doing only that. That's what people kind of expect from you.
Because when she first came out, she was doing mostly electronic music. Like, and I'll never forget. I saw a clip of her on. First time I realized she could sing is a clip on her on YouTube doing like an a cappella piano of Poker Face. It's which is what Kid Cudi ended up sampling, was that clip. And I was like, oh my gosh, she can do jazz. She can do. Why is she relying on auto-tune and electric stuff? You can really sing.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
But you got to stand out.
Yeah, exactly. You got to stand out. And it's interesting because like everybody looks negatively at the like electronic stuff, like the T-Pain auto-tune, but it's like T-Pain wasn't using auto-tune to make himself sound better. He was using it because it sounded fucking cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it sounded different. Like,
and also, there's a million different people that can sing a good note. So.
Right.
Also, every single person uses auto-tune. Whatever you think auto-tune is, everyone uses it. Beyonce uses it. It is called. It is Chris Brown. It's called tuning your voice. Right. No one is so perfect.
There's a version of that Metallica uses where instead of the guy doing the drums, he just does it digitally. So it's like a formula.
There's drum pads, which is great. So it's like a little mic that you clip on, and then it basically samples your actual snare hit with something.
True. I mean, correcting a couple of notes for tuning is one thing, but the whole robot thing, that's a whole nother level. And I'm not downing it. It's just my impression was, you know, like Drake recently put out his dance album, right? And a lot of that is him auto-tune singing. And like, you know, what was it? Somebody, Irv Gotti came out and said that he's like, man, I need to find a new DMX because I just thought it was a couple singles. He's doing a whole album like this. And I'm like, well, there's nothing wrong with being a pop artist. And even Drake had said, songs have won for rap that I've done, but they're not rap songs. And I'm like, as long as Drake is owning up to, I'm not trying to be a rapper, I'm like, good.
Yeah, like, honestly, Drake is a pop star. I'm so sorry. Like, 100%. You can't tell, like, he's a pop star that can rap, he's a pop star that can sing. At the end of the day, pop comes from popular. That's where it comes from. It's not just this
popular.
Exactly. And it's not just this like bubbly Britney Spears type. And that's one of the things that I hate about the pop persona is that they expect you to be this like bubblegum princess, and like, sure, that's a cool persona, but it's like pop is based on music that everybody likes, that everybody can listen to.
That's why pop is different in every like decade.
Because if you look at pop in the 80s, you had
now it's funk.
Jackson, Michael Jackson and Depeche Mode. It's all
that's all pop.
That's all pop. It's all
Bad Bunny is pop. Technically.
Adele is pop.
Whatever's on the radio.
Adele is pop.
Bottom line is whatever's on the radio, top 40 at any point in music history is pop.
Right.
Indeed.
If you were on the radio in any genre, you were pop.
Yeah.
Also, it does have that stigma of it's kids music. It's what's but not that it's a stigma, but it's just that's what people think.
Yeah.
That's why girls my age don't like me.
Also,
and not to say that Drake is not a rapper, it's just he doesn't do a lot of rap anymore.
That's
the distinction.
And he does a lot of both. Because honestly, the funny thing about it, you mentioned Irv Gotti, Ja Rule used to rap and sing and stuff like that, and Drake literally copied that whole thing. Exactly. So it's literally saying like this was possible. So,
but what Irv had to say about it was, essentially, I thought that was just the singles that Drake was putting out. I didn't realize he'd do a whole album of just.
Oh, okay.
Because Ja Rule didn't do a whole album of Everybody Loves Me. He was actually rapping.
Ja Rule had hits, so I'm not gonna lie. That shit.
He did. They're massive hits. Massive hits.
When we cry. That was a little Mo.
That's one of the things we haven't mentioned yet. Your top 5 influences music-wise. You mentioned Beyonce.
Beyonce is number 1.
Number 1.
I also love.
Yeah, he keeps the count.
One of my favorite singers is Toni Braxton.
Okay.
I love her.
Yeah.
Just because.
Not a lot of people sing.
Not a lot of people.
He can sing, man.
I love Toni Braxton because she proves that you don't have to have a high C to be a great singer. Her low notes, like. When I hear those, I'm like, that raspiness, that beautiful, that's beautiful.
Okay,
that's
something
beautiful.
about
and there's power there
that I didn't know, and I just found out recently. She has a huge following in the Philippines. I don't know why, but they love Toni Braxton.
Oh my gosh!
Look at you taking my job.
No, you don't know how many like times I hear like "Unbreak My Heart" in like an island market. You know what I mean? Like they play it like all the time, and I don't want to stereotype. Like I don't want to be like culturally inappropriate, but like
that's okay. We'll do one about Mexicans.
No, they do. They do love "Unbreak My Heart," and she's great. So Toni Braxton. Doja Cat. I already mentioned that just because, you know, that whole loops and creating it yourself. Chris Martin from Coldplay. You see how it's all over the place? It's not like one genre. Chris Martin is one of my favorite songwriters of all time. Like, so I know every single Coldplay album, every single Coldplay lyric. I can't choose a Coldplay song that's my favorite just because the way that they write, it's just beautiful. Like, the way that they write about the stars and love and just colors, like, that's amazing. And I cry every time.
After this, I'll show you a song that the band just wrote. It's based off a Coldplay story, but I'll tell you later.
Yes, please. Okay. So then, where are we? We're at 4?
We're 4.
4. I got to choose a good 5.
Tomorrow's June.
There you go.
Okay.
The lead singer sucks.
He doesn't sound like Nick Jonas.
He doesn't sound like Nick Jonas. Nobody likes him.
Let me think. There's so many. I don't want to like. I think I want to say Selena.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
Selena Quintanilla, just because I mentioned it before, but also just what she does for culture, just what she does for, you know, the Latina community or Latinx community. I look up to that a lot, and especially for someone who didn't grow up speaking Spanish, she learned as she went. Her outfits are like iconic. Like, I try really hard to kind of incorporate that, you know, the bustiers and the, you know, the pants and stuff. Like, she makes them herself. Well, she made them. Yeah,
it's crazy to think where she would be right now.
Right.
Because, you know, she was only going to get bigger.
She was.
And, I'll say this, growing up, and I mean, I love her music now, but I hated her music growing up.
Oh, yeah.
The reason is my sisters would play it like every day. I felt like I was some CIA torture. You know, where they play the same song over and over. So I was like, oh man, I fucking hate. Like, can you please just change it?
You asked that like we've all been through the CIA torture, music torture.
That's how they knew it was going to be torture.
I hated Beyonce at that part because my sister used to play like all that, like the B2K, the Mario, shit like that. They just had a verses. And I knew all them songs. There's like, how you know this? I was like, my sister plays this nonstop.
So that's why I didn't like it as a kid. Growing up, you know, I enjoy it. But
Toni Braxton don't break my heart though. She played all the time. I was like, I like this shit though. Like, I was like, what's that one song when she play like, it's like, you don't like that? I was like, I mean, I guess. And then so she purposely would play it more, not knowing that I liked it. So I was like, hell yeah. I'm like, hey, and I'm like, why'd you stop it? She's like, I'm on the phone. I don't care.
I used to feel that way about low key Michael Jackson.
Really?
Just because like Michael Jackson was very prominent in my house, and I did like his music, but I'm like, do we have to listen to Beat It again?
Oh yeah.
Like, do we have to listen to Thriller again? Like, how many times?
Especially on Halloween.
Right. And then like when I grew up and I started to like do my own music, I started to listen, and I'm like, wait, maybe this guy was onto something with these songs. Like, because a song is so like overplayed, you low-key forget how good it is. And I kind of hate that. Like, I want to be able to appreciate a song, you know?
How often do you look back to like maybe like your cultural roots for music-wise to like, oh, I could incorporate this into mine?
Honestly, very often. Very, very often.
Recently or always? Like,
not always, because I was really just guided towards the pop route. But a lot of the new stuff that I'm like keeping to myself is very just like, there's some chants that I try to include there, some like harmonies that I hear from, you know, the cultural singers. So I try to incorporate that as much as possible, especially now, because last year I spent most of the time performing for, you know, Polynesian people. You know, a lot of the shows that I did book, it was like very prominent with the Islander community. So I was always around Islanders, always. And when I grew up, like, I had my grandparents to look to, but it wasn't until I was in like middle school, they weren't open about it. And it's like, we always knew that we were Samoan, and we always knew that we had this culture with us, but it wasn't until I had to ask them, like, hey, how come I want to learn how to do the dance? I want to learn how to do this. I want to learn how to do that. How come? And it's weird because I want to be able to do that representation, but I'm also still learning myself. And there's a lot of things that are going over my head that I'm kind of like having to learn now. And that goes to
the TikTok thing.
TikTok. Yeah.
Do we have Cool to talk about that. What's it called? We recently saw at the show you did a money dance, a traditional money dance, at the end of your set, and you posted on TikTok, and it kind of blew up, but then you got, for lack of better words, got some backlash because it wasn't as traditional as some families do it versus how other people did it. I was reading the comments, some people said, it's because it was standing on the back. So explain what that is.
So the dance that I did is called a taulunga, and basically the chief's daughter, the eldest daughter in the family, performs this dance as a gift to the village or a gift to whoever is being celebrated. And I am the oldest in my family, of all the grandchildren, and I've always wanted to do this dance. I've wanted to do it since the first time I've seen my cousins do it. I've always wanted to do it, and I've always wanted to learn it. But like I said, I had to kind of ask my family, hey, can you teach me? And it was a lot of just me trying to remember what I've seen, see what YouTube had to offer, but then also my mom watched me do it, And in a certain portion of the dance, there are men who will, dance around the princess out of respect. And sometimes the man will get too excited and will lay on their stomach, and the princess will dance around them, right? Some people will put their foot on the man, and that's forbidden, actually, very forbidden. And that is something that I did. That is something that I grew up seeing. That is something that I was able to do. And it just, when I posted that video, I didn't think they would say anything about that. But obviously the mold, so of course they're going to say something, And I didn't regret posting the video, because for a moment I turned off the comments, because the comments were like, this is forbidden, you shouldn't do this, this is a disrespect to your culture. When at the end of the day, the reason why I did that money dance was to raise money for our local hula association. I gave all of that money. It was only $100, but I gave all of that money away. And even at the end of that video, that TikTok, it shows me giving her that money. So it's in the midst of me doing this really good thing for my community, you guys are stuck on the mistake that I made. And it's I respect everybody making those comments and educating me on it, because now I know that's something I shouldn't be doing. And that's not the representation that I should be promoting. Just because I do that in my own family doesn't mean I need to, present myself for a whole community that probably doesn't even do that. So it was very I was very two-sided about it, because it was I wanted to be mad that they didn't see my good thing, but I also had to take accountability for it. Not a lot of artists, when they do things like that, they don't take accountability. It's even with Lizzo. Did you guys hear about Lizzo?
She changed the lyric.
Lizzo used the word spaz, and apparently that's a slur towards disability, people with disabilities, but she didn't know that, but she just had it because it's you hear people say you're a spaz all the time, but it was she changed the lyric before the song even came out, and it's it takes a lot to do that. You have to go back into the studio, change things around, remix it again, and then redistribute it back to those and send it to all those stores again. So she made an effort to do that, So I want to be that kind of artist where if you're going to call me out on it, okay, I'll take accountability. I'll see where I did wrong. And now, especially with all those comments going, I've been watching, other communities do the same dance. I've watched other people do it and see, and I'm trying to learn, especially because that's something I lacked. I lacked the ability to learn from my family members, and I don't blame my family members, because eventually we did learn. We did accept it, and we did do all these big graduations and stuff. I just wish it was a lot sooner. I wish I was speaking in Samoan to you guys right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the TikTok, I wanted to take it down, and I turned off the comments, but it's why not just use this as a learning experience and, represent the people, the artists that make mistakes. I want to be able to show everybody that even if I did, fuck this up right here, I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna bounce back and do it right for you guys. And I don't think that's anything wrong, especially for artists.
Also, you're passing that 10,000 mark, so you're at what, 14,000 followers now.
Yeah.
You're blowing up.
Yeah.
People
I mean,
rats.
Yeah.
so like you're getting to that point too, where no matter what you do, people are gonna shit on it.
Really?
I get shit on all the time, and like I said, keep going. Algorithm.
Some of it's deserved.
Yeah. Some of it's deserved.
Yeah.
Some of it's deserved.
Yeah, but I didn't even think that I would like. I love TikTok, and I'm always scrolling on TikTok, and I think it's funny, but I didn't think I would, blow up this quickly on TikTok,
It's the easiest platform.
It really is, but it's also, that's where that imposter syndrome comes back.
Keep posting, though.
Right, I have to.
I lost like 10,000 followers.
You got to, like.
Because I stopped posting.
I'm at like a 120.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I'm at 120. Like, you lost 10,000. I'm like, fuck, I just got.
Well, I had like 60,000. I'm at like 47.
Okay, bragging. Keep posting, bro.
I need to get back to it.
We're all out of time, but I just want to thank you for taking time out of your day to come out here.
Of course.
Before
So
we
much
go,
fun.
though, we always ask our guests, like, any social media. I know you mentioned TikTok.
Yeah.
So mention all where we can our listeners can listen to your music or all that.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you want them to contact you, which I don't recommend. But
so my music
some
is
crazy listeners. That's why.
Yeah, my music is on all platforms right now. I have my last album is called For Me. I did that entirely by myself during the pandemic. So if you want to listen to it, go ahead. But also, I'm working on new stuff. So I got some new stuff coming out. So that's Elani, TEAELANI, and it's the same for all streaming platforms, all social medias. It's just the same name. I try to keep it simple for everybody, so it's the same. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
that's the Voice Party. We're out.
and we're out. All righty.
Do you really